Hey coach, what are your thoughts on lower training volume routines for the advanced trainee? Coach William Grazione here, owner of The Educated Dieter, bringing you guys back another educational Hey Coach video answering our client questions direct from my social media. In today's video, we're answering a question from one of our male bodybuilding clients, and he says, "Hey Coach, what are your thoughts on lower training volume routines for an advanced trainee?" Now, he happens to be an advanced trainee, but I think that this information I'm about to give you is important for any level, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced. Now, I think that this question comes at a really amazing time because, in all fairness, if you would have asked me this 6 months ago, I'm really not quite sure how I would have answered it. However, what I will tell you is that for the last 12 weeks, I have been running a lower volume bodybuilding style routine with my training partner, Chris Barakat. We meet up at the LA Fitness every week or here at my home gym every week, and we are progressive overloading on about 6 or 7 different exercises. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that I have made substantial progress in those areas, not only in strength, but I'm actually feeling a better connection with certain muscle groups that I haven't necessarily felt before. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned over the last 12 weeks that have helped me progress on a lower volume hypertrophy style program. All right, so if you're anything like me, chances are you have a fair amount of training experience. I personally have been training for over 20 years, and if you would have told me, hey Will, you can reduce your volume, you can train 2 top sets, you can do it this way and still make amazing progress, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Rewind back about 5, 6, 7 years, I was the guy doing the German volume training, 10 sets of 10, 5 sets of 12, just doing obscene amounts of volume because I thought with my kind of training experience that I needed that much volume to make progress. However, I ultimately ended up in a position where I was constantly beating myself up, I was getting hurt all the time, and I'm like, what gives? Why am I always feeling stiff, inflamed, sore, and getting injured? Well, lo and behold, I just couldn't recover from that amount of training volume. But now that I've learned more about the importance of recoverability, now I'm doing a lower volume routine and I'm actually reaping the benefits. So inside of training with my training partner, Chris Barakat, over the last 12 weeks, there's a couple things that I've learned. Number one is the intent and the quality and the emphasis on the muscle is extremely valuable in progressing with a lower volume routine. So inside of training with Chris, him being somebody that has extensive anatomy, physiology, and biomechanics education, it's been phenomenal for me to actually be able to train with him because he will call me out if he sees me lacking in some specific area, whether it be not controlling an eccentric or whether it be not gaining a really good mind-muscle connection with a specific muscle, in which he'll actually kind of like touch the muscle and like palpitate on the muscle so that I can have a better neurological connection with those fibers. And I essentially do the same thing for him. So inside of a training relationship, that's basically our relationship is, hey, I'm going to push you, you're going to push me, I'm going to make sure you're doing your job correctly, and you're going to make sure I'm doing my job correctly. Do we have a deal? And you're going to be on time, right? And so the things that helped me be able to acquire this progress over the last 12 weeks are pretty simple. Number one is going to be exercise selection. Now, I'm pretty sure that each and every one of you here have tried an exercise before for a certain muscle group, and you just don't feel it. Maybe you're doing lat pull downs and you feel it all in your bicep, your brachioradialis, and your delts, right? You don't feel it at all in your back. Or maybe you've gone to a gym and you see the guys that go in there and they're swinging around doing lat pull downs and their ass is coming 4 inches off the pad, or they're like humping the air when they're doing their bench press, kind of like the NFL Combine, where they're just throwing weights off their chest. And you can tell they're not really using the muscle fibers that should be targeted inside of that movement pattern. So what I want you to think about is choose the proper exercise for you, one that you feel the most. Most guys, if they're pretty new trainees, call them beginners, they don't feel a barbell bench press to save their life. However, there are some individuals that if you put them on the dumbbells, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel this immediately. I get a good pump, I can get sore. Well, fantastic. Start with the dumbbells. Maybe you're a woman and you're looking at essentially trying to optimize your glute growth. Well, sometimes you're not going to feel a double leg hip thrust. Well, let's go ahead and let's isolate one glute at a time so we can really slow it down and focus on that one specific muscle. And once you can establish a really good mind-muscle connection with a specific exercise, that's your exercise. Milk that exercise. Take that exercise for everything you can get out of it and get as strong as you possibly can with that movement. And then select an exercise like that for each muscle group you have. Now, execution, this is extremely important. So to save you the headache of learning about biomechanics and anatomy and physiology and all that stuff, I will simply break execution down into two things. Number one is slow down. Use a 3-second eccentric phase on each repetition to essentially allow your muscles to do the work. Don't allow momentum to help you do the work. The whole idea of resistance exercise is to make resistance exercise harder. However, when you utilize momentum, you're actually making resistance exercise easier. I want you to remember that, okay? So number one is control the eccentric. Number two is going to be squeeze the muscle and gain a really solid contraction phase. So if you need a visual of what this would look like, if I'm doing a barbell bench press and I am lowering the barbell down 3 seconds, touch my chest, explosive concentric, but I'm squeezing the muscle. 1, 2, back down for 3 seconds. And if you take nothing else away from this video, that is what I would urge you to consider, is just slow down, because inside of slowing down, you actually allow your muscles to do the work. Now, I can tell you that when I first had to do this on my back exercises, I was humbled because I'm somebody that I thought I was doing 3 plates and a quarter on the lat pull down. And at the end of that session, I was only doing 2 plates. So leave your ego at the door and understand that you will get right back to that point where you left off, but you are going to have to learn how to neurologically connect with the muscle fibers you're trying to target. Next up is going to be acclimation sets. Now, this is something that I've been utilizing ever since my powerlifting days when I competed as a powerlifter, as well as my years competing as a professional natural bodybuilder. However, acclimation sets are extremely important for the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced. And I would say that acclimation sets are even more important for the advanced because it requires longer for you to get to the working weight because you're stronger. So let's go ahead and paint the picture. Have you ever seen somebody go into the gym, maybe it's a squat day, right? And they start off with just their body weight, and then they put the bar on their back. And then they put 145 on each side, and then they'll put 2 45s on each side. And then they'll go 3 45s on each side, and then 4 45s on each side if they're super strong, and then they'll begin their working sets. Well, it's the same way for every exercise. If I'm doing a dumbbell lateral raise, right? And I start with the 5s. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's go up to the 10s. How do those feel? And then let's go to the 15s. How do those feel? And then if 20 is my working weight, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to perform my first set at 20 pounds. But notice I did 3 sets to get there. The whole goal here, ladies and gentlemen, is basically to neurologically stimulate all of the spark plugs on your engine, okay? I think a lot of people walk into the gym with V8 engine capability, okay? But they're not even neurologically stimulating all 8 cylinders. Hopefully that makes sense to you because you're not warming up properly. I like to think about it as 2 spark plugs, fire the engine. 4, fire the engine. 6, fire the engine. 8, the engine's fired. I'm ready to perform at maximal loads. So Coach Will, how do we actually do this? Like, what's the structure? Well, I can tell you right now that Chris and I have been focusing on 6 specific exercises, and inside of each one of those, we acclimate up to our working weight, which is a top weight where we can only do about 6 to 10 repetitions with, okay? Now, after that set, we then back off, take about maybe 20 to 40 pounds off, and then we're performing a set of anywhere between 12 to 15 repetitions. So maybe it would look like this. I work my way up to 200 pounds on the bench press for a really clean set of 8. If I tried to do 9, I probably would have failed, okay? So we're leaving maybe 1 rep in the tank maximum. We're trying to go to failure. We have spotters, so it's okay to go there because we're safe, right? And then the set after that, I'd probably drop it down to maybe 175, 185, and I would try to get that for about 15 repetitions. And that's how we're actually performing each one of our exercises, and that's the sets and rep routine that we're using for each one of the exercises. So in conclusion here, you can absolutely make progress on a lower volume routine, but you really got to dial the stuff in that I just talked to you about. And I think the big emphasis here, if I could draw a banner on top of this video, is focus on quality over quantity and understand that you need to be going to full range of motion, okay? I cannot tell you how many times I see people in the gym trying to do leg presses and they're doing 1,000 pounds. If you're trying to create muscle damage, you need to elicit full range of motion challenge. That's going to be my biggest thing that I want to focus on today is quality over quantity and full range of motion challenge with slow controlled eccentrics and forceful concentrics. Thank you so much for checking out this video of can a advanced trainee make progress on a lower volume routine. I hope you found it helpful. God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next Hey Coach video.